Hey everybody, Mr. Riedl here. So I am on my lunch break right now. I'm sitting in my car and I'm on break from a training. It's my first training through my new school district. I know that I said that my next video would be my classroom setup video, but I kind of felt compelled to do this video before that. Today's training is about restorative practices and how they're rolling it out in the district. And it's already a few years in, and it's really awesome. Basically, it's focusing on community, building relationships, and improving the school climate using like social and emotional strategies in order to prevent a whole lot of, issues and conflict and stuff like that. There's always going to be issues and conflict, but preventing it rather than using punitive ways of, reacting to it. That's what this is all about. I just love the idea of the restorative piece and the empathy that goes with it in order to try to understand each other better and empathize with each other. So anyway, it's a great program. There's going to be a link in the description below with more info if you're interested. It's kind of hitting me on a personal level though. I've talked on my channel before about how I'm a perfectionist and how I struggle with not feeling like I'm good enough as a teacher. And I shared in the training with, the people at my table that my last time in public school did not go well. It was really hard. And it was my first full year teaching, and I learned a lot since then. I felt like back then I had to have all the kids follow the rules, and that's part of me being a perfectionist is like, I expected the kids to be perfect too, just like I hold myself up to these perfect standards, and so that didn't work out well, and a whole lot more goes into it, and it's not that cut and dry, but basically, after teaching 7 years in private school, I'm going now back to public school. It's kind of the same population of students that I had previously, and I've learned a lot since then, but it's still bringing up these bad memories that I had before, and I wonder, am I good enough? Back then, after that really hard year, I thought about quitting teaching. I've learned a lot, and I can honestly say that I'm a good teacher, but, in my heart, I believe I'm a good teacher, but in my mind, I think back to the mistakes that I've made in the past, and that's tough for me to get past and let go of. I used to read a lot of books that Ron Clark wrote, and I thought about how Ron Clark is such a great teacher and how I wanted to be like him, but over the years I've realized that after making mistakes on trying to be like him, I'm realizing that I need to be like myself. And I shouldn't teach like Ron Clark teaches, I should teach like Riedl teaches. During the training, we actually watched a clip from Brené Brown's TED Talk, and she talked about shame versus guilt. And I've been reading a lot of Brené Brown recently. I've read The Gifts of Imperfection, I've read Daring Greatly and Rising Strong, and I've realized that, I'm scared of going back. I'm excited, but I'm also nervous, and that's something that brings up a lot of shameful things about my past, things that I have had a hard time with, and I wonder if I'm going to be good enough this year. Again, I know in my heart that I'm a good teacher, but in my mind, how am I going to react in those situations when the kids don't listen to me? How am I going to react when something happens, and am I going to have a reaction that is based off of my shame from the past? Or am I going to have a reaction that's thoughtful and I think before I speak, and I'm mindful of how I want to build the community in my classroom, and all these feelings before the first day of school are going through my mind, and this training is really good for me. I don't know how much the intent of talking about shame in this restorative practices training is meant for the teacher, or is it meant for the students and how we need to be thinking about how the kids feel shame, but it goes both ways, you know? Because I can think about how I want to build a community in my classroom that is inclusive and welcoming and respectful towards one another. I think the main point of this video, and the reason that I'm saying this and sharing all this on YouTube, is because of the fact that I'm thinking of myself back when I was done with my first full year of teaching. And like I said before, it did not go well, and I was tempted to give up because it wasn't perfect. But from what I've heard from so many teachers is that the first year is always the hardest. So I want to encourage all of you teachers out there who were like me and you had a crappy first year and you didn't know how it was going to go again the next year. Or for me, going back to public education, 7 years later. I think what's awesome about restorative practices is that it focuses on circles and how we're a community and we are together in this thing called life, and struggles and difficulty and the ups and downs. And when you talk about these things with each other, even middle schoolers, you could start by talking about, little things like what's your favorite food, or which do you prefer, Pepsi or Coke, or something like that. But then once it goes deeper, and once you actually have meaningful, empathetic conversations with each other, then that opens up empathy towards one another so that we can understand each other better. And that's what I love about restorative practices, is that opening up and empathizing with one another. And I think that's what I'm trying to do with this video, is to be vulnerable and share, because I know there's other teachers out there feeling the same way, and I'm right there along with you. I'm struggling with knowing how this year is going to go. I'm doing my best to find resources for me to feel supported and talk to my team teachers, and making sure that I'm doing all the necessary things to feel prepared. But at the same time, I always go back to thinking about, okay, am I having fun? Am I teaching the way that I would love to have a teacher taught me when I was in middle school? And am I enjoying this? Oftentimes I overthink things, and that's what perfectionists do best. And reminding myself that I am good enough, and when I make a mistake, it doesn't mean that I am a mistake. It just means that I made a mistake, and I can learn from that. But I am not a mistake. I am a good teacher. I am someone who cares about the students, and I want to do my best without getting frustrated over the little things that I have no control over. So this will be my 10th year teaching, and looking back on the past decade, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs, and I need to constantly remind myself of the positives and see the growth that is happening in my career that I should be proud of. Anyway. Oh man, training just ended, and it was really great. Talking about the nuts and bolts of how to do this in your classroom was really helpful. In my previous classrooms, I've done circles. In 5th grade, I called them classroom meetings, and I've had a lot of really positive experiences with them. And having this training is really helpful for me to kind of have a little bit more structure over them and know what to do if problems occur, and have a little bit more boundaries and guidelines for what I need to do. So that was really helpful. But overall, I'm just really positive about this. I know it's going to be hard, and they actually showed a video that was demonstrating students leading the circles, and students focusing on how they can help each other out and share with each other and be vulnerable with one another. And it was really awesome to see them being honest and open with one another. And I know that that's what it looks like at the end. And there's a lot of hard work that comes before you get to that point. But overall, I believe that I can get there, and I'm really encouraged by that. And I hope that I can, keep a vlog throughout the school year to share with you guys how it's going, and but mostly for myself, and keep a record of how I'm feeling about it and how I'm doing, and reminding myself that it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's going to be messy, but it's going to be good. And in the long run, if I'm vulnerable and I'm making sure that there's structure and I'm consistent, then that's what's best for the kids. And I think it'll be really good, and I'm excited. So even though I'm nervous and unsure of how it's going to go, and even though I know that it's not going to be perfect, and I know that it's going to be hard, I'm confident and hopeful, and really looking forward to this school year, and building community, and having my class be a safe place where they can trust me and we can all trust each other. So, all right, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of the day, and training day 2 tomorrow. I probably won't vlog it, but this one was especially close to my heart, and it was on my mind, so I wanted to share that with you guys. So again, thanks for watching. Have a good one.